Hey, how's it going out there? Hey, I hope everybody had a wonderful holiday season and a great Christmas. And before we get into this, I wanted to show off a few presents that I got for Christmas. This one is a handmade tumbler. My daughter asked me, she said she wanted one of my double T fishing stickers. And I thought, well, that's kind of odd. I don't know what she's going to put it on. I gave a bunch to her kids and stuff. So she took it, and this is what she did with it. That's not a sticker that's just stuck on there. She did kind of a paint swirl, and I'm not sure how well you'll be able to see that. And then epoxied over it and put the sticker on there, and it's an epoxy finish. It is just beautiful. I guess she made up a little roller system where it kept turning it, and she made up like 20 different tumblers for everybody for Christmas presents, and just wonderful. Thank you, Erica. It's beautiful. And I had a grandson who's on the fishing team in Alabama, and he sent me his special baits that he always catches fish on, and a topwater frog. I was just really impressed that he took the initiative to get into his tackle box and get me some of his favorite baits. So thanks a bunch. I had a great Christmas, and I hope y'all did too. I got this notification from YouTube, and I couldn't believe it. Over 1 million minutes of watch time. 1 million minutes. I want to thank y'all from the bottom of my heart. I really never thought this channel would take off, but it kind of has, and it's fairly successful. And, you know, a lot of y'all have been on the journey with me, and I want to just take a minute to thank y'all for that. And let's do a little bit of a year-end review on how this started. And as I started putting this together, I noticed really quick, and I apologize, I really tortured y'all those first bunch of videos. They were pretty bad as far as the photography and knowing my equipment and whatnot, but I just took the theory and ran with it, and I pressed record, and that's where we're at. So it's been just a little over a year. I posted my first video on December 11th of 2020. So in that year, we got over 120 videos up on the site, and some of those are short videos, but not a lot. I'm not thrilled with the short video content. I tried it. I started out with that basically as something you guys could use as quick form to find different things like changing your contrast, but it really just never evolved. And to be honest with you, it was a little cumbersome to find. So I decided to try the spreadsheet. And the spreadsheet has went over rather well. To date, I've got about 80 people who've requested it. We'll keep going with that type. I plan on starting a little newsletter subscription from the people that I've gotten their email addresses from. Of course, I'll get their permission first. So let's go ahead and jump into this video. As most YouTubers, I started out and everybody in my family wanted to be involved. So I made a couple of videos with the grandkids in it and made sure they were wearing gaiters and you couldn't tell who they were and whatnot. And those were really fun videos and, you know, didn't draw many views or anything like that. But they were really fun to do, and it got me into using the green screen and knowing some of my equipment. So they were really valuable for that. So then, because I had this big, beautiful shop, I decided, you know, the channel started out, it was going to be passing along knowledge on how to do things, some welding techniques. Of course, I'm an electrician, so some electrical stuff. So I went ahead and started doing some electrical on my boats. And the first one I did was running some power to a new Garmin fish finder that I had just bought. And, you know, a few people watch that. To this day, I will suggest if you have the equipment and the time that you solder your connections, okay? That is important because that boat's bouncing all over the place And a lot of these butt splice connectors where you put the wire on both ends and you put 2 crimps on it, those are not real good, guys. I've been an electrician for a lot of years, and in automotive and marine applications, I can't count how many times I've seen the wire just dangling out of one of those splices. If you're going to splice it, the best thing to do is put your wires together, twist them, put an insulated cap over them, not a wire nut, but one of the crimp caps, and then tape that up, and that's going to be your best connection, because most connections break from a mechanical pull or something like that, or vibration. So if you keep those together and you keep them taped, you're going to have a good connection for many years. All right, then, so the next thing I did was I took my 2 EcoMap 93 SVs and I networked them together. And that video actually kind of took off. And I was like, man, this thing's getting hundreds of views. And it was done really badly. And you can see the sunlight shining in on it. And it's just not a good quality video. But, you know, people like the information. And that's what got me to where we're at today. Was I saw this video and the attention it got and how much positive feedback I got on it. So I went ahead and started planning some more videos along those lines with the Garmin Fish Finder. But first, I'm still working with my camera, working with my craft. And at this point, I've got a little momentum. I'm just trying to create videos. So I don't know a lot about YouTube. So I started doing videos on just about anything I could. My daughter had me come over and work on a faucet. So I did a video on that. So the next Garmin video I did, or Fish Finder video I did, was leveling the transducer, because that was one of the mistakes I made right up front when I started using these Garmin units. I slapped that thing on there and I just put it, you know, kind of to the level of the boat, the hull of the boat. I didn't think about it being actually level. If the boat's sitting like this and your fish finder's at that slant, then the side view imaging is not going to look very good. You got to straighten that up to where if your boat's sitting like this, you got to tip that fish finder up so it's level. And I had used this Carpenter app on my phone before, and I knew it had a bullseye, because my boat is small and it not only sits like this, it also tilts. So I wanted to use a bullseye to where I actually got it level both ways. And it worked out pretty good. And the video actually wasn't too bad. Although I started out, I was impatient, so I'm publishing these in 480, which is just not anywhere near high definition. High definition is 1080. So anyway, I'm shooting a lot of these in 480. They're a little blurry, but they're not too bad. Again, this one on the transducer gets some momentum. And I'm saying, okay, well, I've got kind of an audience going here. And at that point, I started watching some other YouTube videos from the influencers on what YouTube was about, how audiences react, and, you know, started doing a little research into YouTube. So then I took off one morning, going out fishing, thought I'd just get some camera shots because it was an overcast day, and I'd already figured out that glare on the screen was a big problem. So I'm just traveling around and taking a few shots, and you can see the focus goes in and out as my head comes in. Didn't have my camera set up too well. But anyway, the shots came out really good, the view. So when I got home, I got to thinking, you know, I didn't even have my fish finder set up right for doing my brightness and my gain the way I've showed you guys on several videos. So I'll do a little video on that. And I called it Garmin sonar settings. Holy moly, guys, this is the one that blew up, and it still is number 3 on the top viewed videos every month. So it's got almost 80,000, probably going to be over 80,000 views by the time this airs. And that's the one that I gained all the subscribers and just tons of comments, and people just really like that. So from there, I went into a whole series of sonar settings and how to set up your Garmin unit. So a little while after that, I had seen that unboxing was a big thing. So I decided to try an unboxing. I was already getting a mystery tackle box, which my daughter, thank you, Nikki, got me a year subscription. And I was getting those anyway. So I thought, well, I'll do an unboxing mystery tackle box. And I really don't like being negative, but I wasn't happy with some of the products because you could tell that they were overruns, that they were things that people just didn't use a lot. They're supposed to have holographic eyes on the crankbaits, and they'd be just straight black eyes and different things like that. So I kind of had a little bit of a problem trying to push those products as being a good product to you. In the meantime, I ran across Dark Horse Tackle. At this point, I'm watching influencers, I'm listening to podcasts, I'm trying to learn about YouTube, and Andrew Hayes on Tackle Talk was talking about Dark Horse Tackle. And what he said was it was baits that were made in the United States, or I'll say assembled. I'm sure that hooks and a lot of the parts come from China and other countries, but they're assembled in the United States, in people's garages, in their shops, just like mine. And I really liked the concept. So I reached out to him, to Dark Horse Tackle, and I said, hey, I'm not a tournament fisherman. I have no accolades. I got, at this point, maybe 500 subscribers. But I'd like to help. I like what you guys are trying to do. So they shot me back and they said, well, hey, we'll put you on pro staff, and didn't even ask me to do any videos. They were just interested in my input. So I went ahead and bought the subscription box, and I don't get free boxes or free equipment or anything like that from Dark Horse Tackle. I just really like the concept. They're a smaller company. So being on their pro staff, really, it's not putting any money in my pocket or anything like that, but they're really good guys. So I started doing the Dark Horse Tackle promos. And that, again, what that did, that gave me a chance to build my craft. From there, you can see I started doing a lot of picture-in-picture and zooming in and things like that, and trying to make the videos a better quality. Along those lines, I moved it up to 720. I'm not at high definition yet, but I'm working my way there because I'm an impatient guy. And at this point, I'm uploading 2 to 3 videos a week, and I'm going through the process, and it takes a lot longer to edit and publish a high definition video than it does one at 480 or 720. Also, I'd gotten quite a few comments, and I'll say quite a few, 3 or 4 negative comments on the picture quality. So at this point, I'm taking it, all right, I got to step up my game. So we did move up to 720. So along that period of time, I got invited to go to a lake, Lake Welsh in eastern Texas, and do a little fishing with some guys. I was going through Google Earth Pro and, taking a look at the lake and marking a few waypoints and putting them in my phone. And I thought, man, that would be a good video for somebody, if they're prepping for a lake they'd never been on. I just showed up one day, launched my boat, and I already had a bunch of waypoints. Plus, I downloaded some waypoints for some brush piles from the Texas Parks and Wildlife. So I had a ton of waypoints before my boat ever hit the ramp. And I thought, man, that'll be a good video. And it was. I thought it turned out rather well. So I went ahead and did that video. So upcoming were my Bassmaster events. And I was already locked into one going to the Sabine River. So I was really looking forward to that. And I wanted to check out the Sabine River and do some Google Earth Pro. Not that I can talk to the pros on where we're going or anything, but at least have an idea where we were fishing. So in the meantime, I did do a few more videos on Garmin and picking up a lot of subscribers, a lot of views, and the channel really had a lot of momentum at that point. And this is at about March, March into April, in that time frame, and it's really rolling along good at this point. So being as a chart plotter only has so many settings, I know I can't publish, a video every week on a chart plotter. And plus it would burn people out. So anyway, again, trying to do some unboxing, some tips and tricks, and I did a few videos on that, and they were just crashing. They were crash and burn. And then I'd come back and I'd put a Garmin video up, and it would just take off again. So I knew at that point I had my niche. I had an audience that was interested in something that I was publishing. So finally, the Bassmaster event comes up on the Sabine River, and I was so excited. I had just bought the new Jeep, and I loaded up, and down I went. And I'll tell you what, if you want to do this, it is a great experience, but it's work. I mean, you're going to be getting up at 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, and it's a pretty long day. So I thought there was really nothing out there on what the experience was about as far as video. They had a lot of written literature on not necessarily what to expect, but what the etiquette was, what you could do, couldn't do. There was 8, 10 pages of rules you had to read, but nothing really on what the experience was like. So I really didn't know what to expect. Day one, I drew Jamie Hartman, who is a very successful angler, but man, he is all business. And that day being my first time out, it was nerve-wracking because I accidentally dropped a lid getting a water out of the cooler. And yeah, he gave me the death look. Anyway, Jamie's a great guy, but he's very intense. On the second day, I draw Corey Johnston. And Corey, I'm like, going over where should I be in the boat? When you hook a fish, where do you want me? What can I do? What can I do? He said, just have fun. Just enjoy the ride. And that's pretty much how that day went. Not a lot of chit chat. He was pretty focused on the fishing. But really enjoyed my day with Corey. And then I got Mark Frazier on the final day. And Mark was very, very intense. Funniest thing, we're at the boat ramp. And I said, so where are we going, Mark? And he looks over at me, and he looks back at his graph, and he says, I ain't got a clue. I was like, okay. So that's the way the morning started out. So we take off from the launch, and we get up on plane, and no more than we got up on plane, we got to the other side of the river, and we shut it down. He grabbed the rod, started fishing. And it was very quiet until he caught the first fish. Then he loosened up a little bit. And then we went around a barge and found a tree out there. He starts throwing a weightless fluke, and I mean, we limited out in 10 minutes. Then we're culling. And he was the funnest guy to be with after that. We just had a blast. So my first Bassmaster event, although a little intimidating, it wasn't bad. I had a lot of fun. And the video, I thought, came out really good. It didn't get many views. I really didn't expect it to. But if you want to know what a Bassmaster event's like, there's 2 videos, one for the Sabine River and one for the Bassmaster Classic, that I think are pretty good videos. So shortly after that, I'd asked my wife if I could upgrade my kayak this year. I had a decent 10-foot kayak, but in the wind, it was a little rough, but it was quick. It's a fast little kayak. Anyway, I upgraded to a bona fide SS127, which is like going from my Jeep to driving a big tuna boat Cadillac. It doesn't maneuver as well and whatnot, but very stable. I love it. It sits up high. It's comfortable. So I did some videos on my kayak. And I thought, because I follow a lot of you guys are kayak fishermen, and I follow a lot of you guys. And I thought they would be pretty successful, but they really weren't. They kind of took a nosedive. And so I thought, okay, well, we'll go back to doing some Garmin videos. And again, kind of rocked along there for a while, and things were good. But at that point last summer, the channel was growing, but it was growing at a certain pace. And there's not a lot I could do about it. No matter what I posted, I did some on the water videos, which did well, but not as good as the videos in the spring. So, but in the early summer, I did become monetized. I got my 1,000 subscribers and my 4,000 watch hours. And my channel is really, it's kind of an anomaly for those of you other content creators. I don't get nearly as many subscribers per views as most channels do. And I understand that because it's more of an educational channel. But that's something to keep in mind. So when I tried to spirit off and go in the kayak world, there's so many of you guys that do great kayak videos that I didn't stand a chance. And I knew it was about time to get out of that little niche because it wasn't going to work out too well for me. Although I really do enjoy kayak fishing. And if I'm going to do more tournament fishing, it's probably going to be in the kayak world because I enjoy kayakers. They're really down to earth. And I have a lot of fun kayaking. So then shortly thereafter, the Bassmaster Classic. So originally I didn't get into the Classic, but I guess because of COVID, enough people dropped out that I could go ahead and get in. So I got to go to the Classic. And oh man, that was so much fun. You get to go to media day. You get all kinds of swag. It was a great experience. So I even got a practice day. I got to practice with Scott Canterbury, and man, it was like two guys just hanging out. We had the iPhones on the deck. We're watching Kevin Van Dam, who's winning an MLF event. We're listening and watching that on his phone while he's fishing. He doesn't even have a hook on. A bunch of the time, he's just throwing a worm on a spring lock, you know, and he'd say, "Hey, Rick, look at this." And you'd see the rod twitching all over the place. And even in the video, I told you once, we'd been fishing along a few hours. He said, he saw me back there with the GoPro. He's like, "You probably want me to catch a couple, don't you?" And I said, "Hey, I don't want you to stick your fish for tomorrow. Don't worry about me. You know, I got 2 more days." But had a blast with Scott. And then I got to fish with Brandon Cobb. And Brandon was just, I mean, he talks all the time. And he's slamming his own lids. He ain't too worried about noise or anything else. Had a great time with Brandon. Learned a ton with Brandon because he just talking the whole day. And then the last day I got Clint Davis. And Clint's just a really nice guy. Had a good time with him. Again, not intimidating at all. He was very welcoming onto his boat. And the one thing I did notice with the professional anglers, if you wonder why they catch so many more fish than we do, because they don't stop. I'm not kidding. I pulled the grandpa card out a couple times and said, "Hey, would you like me to get you some water?" You know, they don't eat all day. When they pull that trolling motor up, they tell you, "Okay, we're going." And by the time I could put my life jacket on, buckle up, and grab my GoPro, I mean, we're on plane. I mean, these guys do not mess around. That's why they catch fish. I'm going to guess that they make at least 3 times as many casts, pitches, however you're fishing, as I do on my boat. They are just phenomenal. And when they pitch a bait in, it's within 2 inches of where they want it to hit. It is amazing. It really is to watch those guys. Again, if you get a chance, register, go to one of these classic events as a marshal. I guarantee you will not regret it. And of course, the Classic itself, just going to the Classic, you know, sitting in the stands and watching them come across stage and all that was great. Looking at all the new products that were out on the market. So pretty much throughout the summer, what I did were on the water videos, pitching and flipping videos. But I was getting real good feedback on the videos. A lot of the earlier videos I did in the spring we're still doing real well. My subscriber count wasn't growing a lot, but it was growing. And I decided not to turn on the advertisements for a long time after I was monetized. I just, you know, a few bumper ads and whatnot, but I didn't turn on many advertisements. So September and October were really rough months. I mean, there were a lot of days I was getting 0 subscribers, down to under 500 views a day. And I knew that was coming because most fishing channels, that's a rough time of year. And I thought, well, this is the way it's going to be throughout the rest of the winter. And I thought, well, you know what? Black Friday's coming up. And that's how I got involved in all this Garmin 93 SV to begin with. Was I saw the Black Friday ads and decided, wow, that's $400 off. And I did it 2 years in a row to get my 2 units. And I thought, well, maybe I'll do a few videos and see if those are liked. Everybody really supported those videos. And I got a ton of comments from new subscribers who had just bought their first Garmin units and far exceeded my expectations for those videos. Pretty much Black Friday completely revived the channels. I was back up well over 1,000 views a day. I went from under 100 subscribers a month to 250 subscribers, and things just really took off for the channel. So I grabbed that momentum, and I had been wanting to do a video where I did the spreadsheet and I put all the settings down. And now understand that spreadsheet and those settings are for me. They're not necessarily going to be for your type of fishing, but I thought if I'd had just kind of a guideline to go by, it would help. And I put that video out and it did really well. I offered the spreadsheet to anybody who wanted it and got some really good feedback on that. So I wanted to do something for 2022, but I didn't want to break the bank. And what I'm trying to do is I'm trying not to go too far in debt. And I had went ahead and bought this new laptop. I'd gotten Premiere Pro, and if you guys watch a lot of my videos, you will have seen a big step change in quality starting in November when I bought this laptop. I'm able to do a lot more with Premiere Pro. So I'd already spent a bundle of money, and you know, the channel's not made a lot of money yet because I just barely had turned on some ads. But I decided for 2022, I wanted to do something different. And there's a lot of people going to the live scope, but I really just didn't feel like I could afford the live scope right now. In the meantime, I had gotten a hold of Aquaview back in the summer and talked about maybe buying a refurbished unit from them, but they didn't have any at the time. And I went back on the website and I saw they had a refurbished unit. One. So I decided to go ahead and buy that. And I thought, you know, because a lot of the comments I get from you guys are, what is that in the water? I'm not a scuba diver, and there's a few things I can see on Google Earth, you know, that I can see that's a log laydown, but it might have been 20 years ago. So it's hard to tell really what that looks like underwater, but everybody really wants to know. So I thought this Aquaview would be fun, and I haven't gotten it out on the water yet. I've done a couple of videos, and they'll be coming out in January, where I went to the docks and dropped them down, but the wind has just been horrendous this year. So it's pretty tough to get out on the water for any period of time. But I thought it would be fun to mark it on the sonar, hit a waypoint, and then go back around it and take a look at it, see how big it is, at what depth of water, and really kind of start getting into that. I thought would be pretty exciting. So that's a lot of what the early part of 2022 is going to look like for us. And I mean, look at that. 5,200 likes and 499 comments. Thank y'all so much. That is great feedback. And the like to dislike ratio, although they quit posting the dislike numbers, I don't know if you guys have noticed that, but on your thumbs down button, there's no longer a number on there. I don't know, YouTube decided that it was hurting people's feelings, I guess. Me as a content creator, the few dislikes I did get, you know, I took those, I didn't take them to heart, but I said, I've got to do better. I've got to do better with the quality of my images. I have to do better with my presentations. You know, I have to do more research. That video I did on lithium batteries, you know how many hours of research I had into that? Because I didn't know a whole lot. I know a lot about batteries, lead acid, but I didn't know a lot about lithium. So I did quite a bit of research for that. So anyway, I hope everyone sees an improvement in the channel from the logos to the quality, and I'm going to keep trying to improve the content on the channel, but I just cannot emphasize enough how much I appreciate the support I've gotten over the past year, and you guys have been a wonderful audience, and I really want to thank you, and you know what? We'll see you in 2022.